5% 30-year yield meltdown in the bond market tonight. Wow. And, this has gotten a lot of people, within the finance world talking because, you're looking at the yield skyrocketing right now. If you understand the bond market, you understand that when yield goes up, the bond price goes down, which of course makes it less attractive to even go and purchase these bonds. In terms of demand factor, it's not there right now. So what's really going on? Who's really selling these bonds? We're going to kind of touch a little bit more into that because this here is something that is not good at all. And of course, kind of tying back to what we've been seeing with the equity markets now, starting to show in the treasuries. Before it was a stock market, you're starting to see it in crypto, you're starting to see it in gold price as well, oil prices, now the bond market. We are really seeing a complete meltdown right now. Are we going to see the Feds come and start the printer on? But who knows? Who knows? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. But welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. I appreciate you guys as always. Looking across the board, I'm sure you guys are aware as to what's happening. I keep you guys updated along the way. So again, if you are enjoying these updates, you do need to let me know in the comments down below by smashing that like button and hitting that red subscribe button. So looking across the board, still, a lot of red. Yes, we have seen over the course of the last, hour and a half, a little bit of a bounce. It's quite interesting because right now, the tariffs have gone live, within 150 plus countries, they have gone live. So of course, market would think, hey, you know what, when tariffs go live, market's going to dump, but you're seeing the market seeing a little bit of a bounce. Again, market makers are going to step in because, if everyone's going to start thinking something, you are going to see, complete opposite occurring most of the time. And you're seeing a little bit of a bounce, but again, in the grand scheme of things, nothing to be getting overly excited about, as I've stated in my other updates. But looking at the price of XRP, $1.80, we had some big mega news today that came out, of course, out of Ripple. I think, if this was announced maybe around, when the prices were going crazy, not hearing any things regarding tariffs, I think we would have even had a price react in a positive way to that, but unfortunately that's not the case right now. But as far as the valuation is concerned, $105 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $6.2 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So Japan's 225 stock market falls 5% yet again this morning. Of course, as I've stated to you guys before, the tariffs have gone live, so maybe it is due to that fact. Moving forward, look at this. S&P 500 futures fall to a new low of the day, now down 120 points. And on top of that, look at this. The reciprocal tariffs have now officially gone live, with U.S. tariffs now in effect in 185 plus countries. The U.S. now collecting a massive 104% tariff on Chinese goods. Going back to what I've said, we need some sort of a resolution, some sort of an agreement coming in, because this is not going to, go well for the market. I think there needs to be a little bit of, a negotiation really occurring. I think if it does, if they come up with some sort of agreement, I think it's going to be good. But as of now, there's no clarity revolving around that. So of course, in terms of uncertainty, it's still quite there. And I've stated in my other updates, if you watch my market analysis update, a lot of people are focusing about next month's, FOMC meeting, how potentially the rate cut could happen. I think there's so much more than, our rate cut. A 25 BPS rate cut's not going to just kind of get rid of everything. In terms of investor confidence, that's not going to change it, in my opinion, based off of what we're seeing regarding these tariffs. Uncertainty is still really, really high. Demand factor so low. And on top of that, there's a lot of investors that are wanting to actually stack cash now, because of course, as there's so much uncertainty, people want to stack cash. When the markets do go down, they can, start purchasing, equities or, bonds or gold, whatever the case may be. But right now, a lot of people are stuck at the same time. Think about it. A lot of people are stuck at the same time because they've already had exposure in crypto markets. They have already had exposure into the stock market, and they don't have any working, other capital that is in reserve that they could deploy into altcoins, or if it's not crypto, maybe stock market. So that's where the problem really lies right now. So that's that. But look at this. Adam says, something is breaking as we speak. The 10-year note yield just extended its 3-day rally to plus 15% and broke above 4.5% for the first time since February 20th. Last time yields were this high, the S&P 500 was 1,200 points higher than it is now. Something doesn't add up here. So what's really going on? What is really going on here? Why are the percentage, look, interest rate 4.5%? Why is it increasing right now? Like I said, of course, a lot of speculation going on. Someone selling. Remember, if you understand bonds, bonds can be purchased by regular individuals as well. It could be purchased by foreign. Hear me out. It could be purchased by foreign governments, entities. So are we seeing some foreign entity, government, et cetera, actually dumping these U.S. treasuries? Is that what's really happening right now? Possibly. Again, we're speculating right now, but let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. But that's what I personally think is happening behind the scenes as these tariffs are being introduced. Now I think they're just doing something completely out of the blue to really kind of shake out the markets even more and kind of cause a little bit more panic. But again, let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are, because at the end of the day, everyone has their own ways of looking at things. But of course, the positive news was this year, Ripple acquires Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. Ripple becomes the first crypto company to operate a global multi-asset prime brokerage. Hidden Road handles $3 trillion annual volume and 300 plus institutional clients. Is $3 trillion annual volume heading to XRP Ledger? Brad Gerling has something to say to that. We know the breadth of expertise of firsthand clearing $3 trillion annual for 300 plus of the top financial institutions globally. This is the capital and this is the capital and activity that will tap into XRP and XRP Ledger, bread and butter, instant, efficient, scalable, and low-cost movement of value. Instead of waiting for 24 hours to settle trades through fiat rails, Hidden Roads will be using XRPL for clearing a portion of trades and most consequently using RLUSD as collateral across its prime brokerage services, including cross-asset and traditional instrument. Massive news. Of course, hasn't really come out at the best time right now. But again, if you understand in terms of a long-term perspective, you understand how big of a deal this really is. But let's move forward and really analyze and take a look at the price, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So you're looking at the price of, obviously, first we're going to kind of pay attention to the dominance itself. 63.42%, again, in a grand scheme of things, really high still. Obviously, it did not go up to the likes of 64% today, when we did see Bitcoin retest the likes of that 0.50 fib support line once again. The fact that we didn't really see the dominance going up to 64%, I think it really saved altcoins much more than what happened. I think it would have been a worse altcoin day once again if the dominance did go up with this uncertainty. If we saw Bitcoin going down and dominance started picking up to the likes of 64%, I think we would have seen what we saw just few hours back. But with that said, if you're looking at XRP right now, $1.80, obviously we're still in the 0.50 Fibonacci retracement level. I want to show you guys the price of XRP on the hourly time frame so you understand what's really happening here. So of course, we made our way down to the likes of $1.72. Haven't really gone down to the likes of the $1.60. Of course, like I said earlier, due to the fact that you're still seeing the dominance ranging around the 63.5%, which helps quite a bit. We have seen a little bit of a bounce since then. We did see several retests above this key resistance, which again was really beautiful to see. But right now, again, even though we're seeing a little bit of a bounce, I still think we are not out of the woods just yet. So we need to be monitoring how everything folds. Obviously we're going to be looking out for some updates. Obviously, let me know down below what you guys think. Obviously, if you're dollar cost averaging in and you didn't really want to dollar cost averaging when the price was at around $3.40, I'm sure you guys are not complaining at this price point, especially if you are investing where you can afford to lose. If you've done your due diligence research and investing where you can afford to lose, and again, patience is your number one key to follow. But I personally think we still have more downside left, considering what we're hearing right now. And even though Bitcoin has seen a little bit of a bounce, I still think there is more downside based off of what I'm hearing right now. But again, let me know down below what you guys think. Of course, I'll keep you guys updated. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX and peace out.